We're going to call this Fun with Filters, although it's not just filters. It's also some adjustment layers that we haven't used before, and what we're going to call rendering magic. So that's what we're going after today, and you can see here's my, not really all that cute, but it just illustrates the concepts. Example. You're going to need a picture of you, cut off the background, and it doesn't have to be the world's greatest job ever. I just took a webcam picture, put it out to a new layer, and did it that way. Totally up to you how you wish to do that, but you want to bring that in and then alt drag so you have 4 copies of you on the document. So let's start off together. I'm going to go kind of fast, so just pause me along the way when you need to get caught up. So here we go. File new. We're going to set this to a width of 1000 pixels. Please don't put inches, because if I'm not at school and you put inches and your computer gets locked up, you're going to be really confused. So 1000 pixels. And a height of 700 pixels, resolution of 150, and let's just go ahead and go with a white background in RGB color space. So we're going to hit create. We're going to end up with a nice little rectangle here, and at this point we're ready to begin. Now we're going to create, as you'll see, let me put this one here next to it so I can see it better. We're going to create a rendered cloud background. So there are some filters up here that are under an option called render, and you've used in our class anyway lens flare before to render a lens flare, but there are also some additional rendering options. There's lighting effects, clouds, flames, picture frames, trees. There's lots of, I don't know why trees is in there, it's like the most random thing, but anyway, so to do this background we're going to render clouds. So the clouds will be created based on whatever your foreground and background colors are set over here on the left. So since I have this, here, I'll just use a lighter color. So if I take this light blue color and this white color, and then I go up to filter, render, and clouds, it creates very quickly on the layer, it's a destructive thing, it does it to the layer, those clouds. So there we go, bam, I got clouds now. And I'll just make another new layer just to show you an example. But if we turn off that layer and make another layer, you know, if I would have chosen like a gray and then used my render clouds, then I would get gray clouds. So anyway, you're going to choose whatever kind of color you want for your background here. However, I would say not anything too light. So let's not go with happy, bright colors. We're going to need a little bit of darkness because we're going to add a glow in a little bit. So I'm going to delete this one and stick with this gray one. So there's my clouds layer. So that's going to be our background layer. And then, like I said, you're going to bring in multiple copies of you. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this one over and then alt drag to create your copies. Now, this is going to probably show lines as I rotate these, and you'll need to fix that, but I'm probably not going to take time to fix it right now while you're watching me. So I'll go ahead and alt drag that. You need 4 copies. You need 2 that are just sort of chilling, hanging out together down at the bottom, and then 1 kind of poking from the corners. So here I go. I'll rotate this one around so she's just kind of chilling, hanging out from there. So you can see those lines, I think. And we'll take this one and rotate it around and let her hang out from up here. And you can scale them down some if you want to also, but you know, it's whatever. Okay. So there they are, and then these 2 gals, let me rotate one that way and rotate this one this way. There we go. And again, you can see all these. If you didn't bring it over with a layer mask, you wouldn't have this problem, but I didn't. I have a layer mask, so I've got this issue. And again, it's just simply a matter of turning these on and off and painting them out. So, you know, it's not time consuming. It's just one of those things that happens when you rotate stuff. Kind of annoying. It is what it is. You could knock it out with a pretty big brush too, pretty fast. Okay, so once you have all your little people in place and you've touched up your masks from rotating, then you're going to be ready to begin changing these. Now we're going to leave one of these people normal. So one of your 2 bottom ones just needs to be normal. I'm going to put the 2 bottom ones down here next to each other so I can keep it straight. So I'll just make her normal, and I'll just name this one normal. Normal me. And then this one here we're going to use an adjustment layer that you haven't used in the past called a threshold adjustment layer. So when you click down here on your adjustment layers It's called Threshold. Threshold and Posterize are quite different than all these other adjustment layers. So what Threshold's going to do is it's going to give us this like black and white thing. Now notice right now it's doing it to everything. I need to clipping mask that to my one layer. And then click on the little moons button so that you can, in your properties panel, adjust the amount of threshold. So you want to be able to see some of your features, at least a little bit on there. All right, so there's that one. Now let's go to another one. And I can't remember which one I did in the corner. I think the posterize one. Yeah. So over here, we're going to add the posterize. So again, just like threshold, it's an adjustment layer. So this is going to be the poster me. And this is the threshold me. So the poster me, I'm going to come down and hit my moons, go to posterize. Again, it's going to want to do it to everything, so I'm going to need to clipping mask that in. There we go. And then you can adjust, if you click on posterize, the levels of the posterization. So you can see it goes like all the way down there, which is a little bit too much. There we go. So something like that. If there's any color in your person, it'll leave the color. It just kind of makes it, I don't know, it reminded that like comic bookish looking thing. So anyway, so there's that one. And then finally up here at the top, we're going to handle this one using a blending mode. We've done blending modes before. So, I can go up here and switch, multiply, color, burn, that kind of looks neat. Linear, burn, darker color. Screen, which are the lightning ones when you get into there. Overlay then gets into some weird ones. So what we're going to choose is hard mix, which kind of looks like posterize. And then you can pull the opacity back if you wanted to. I think I'm just going to leave it. But that's what the hard mix looks like. There's also a pin light, but see, none of them are quite as extreme as that hard mix. So we'll go with that one for this one. So we've got just all kind of weird, these are just weird ways to manipulate your pictures. Okay, so this is the hard mix blending me on that one. Okay, so we've got all of our layers. Now we're just going to add our name, and I'm going to show you some more render. So I told you before, there's render, there's picture frame, tree, clouds, etc. But what we're going to do next is we're going to add our name. So it doesn't matter what color or anything because we're actually going to hide the color. But just going to put your name in there. I'm using a size 42 font, which should be good unless your name's really long. I'm just going to hit OK here. And then if you would, let's go ahead and use your text warp up here. And let's go ahead and switch it up to where it rises. Not too much. It needs to fit between your little heads in there. But I do want it to have a little bit of a bend to it. If you want to be cool, you could do a little bit of his horizontal distortion or vertical distortion if you've got to fit it through a little hole on one side or something. But anyway, there we go. Something like that is fine. We're going to duplicate this layer so there's two of them. One of them we're going to actually not completely use. And then the other one we're going to add a style to. So I'm going to duplicate this layer by dragging down to the little piece of paper button. So I have two. This one here is going to be the one we're going to add our styles to. So this one here at the bottom, leave alone. So on this top one here, I'm going to go ahead and open up my styles panel, Windows Styles. And in here there are various options, of course, that you can choose. We're just going to go into text effects, and you'll see some different ones in here. Go ahead and get one that matches, in your color scheme at least a little bit, and has multiple layer styles. So like this at least has two. We want to have at least two things, and you can change the colors, of these things too. You know how to do all of that. This has a color overlay and a gradient overlay, so you can double click on these if you want to make changes to things. So like here on my gradient, I can click on this, and maybe I want to change this to red or something like that. It's fine. So whatever here, just add some cool style from the styles panel. All right, now we're going to turn that one off for a minute, and we're going to deal with this bottom one. With the bottom one, we're going to rasterize this layer because we're going to use render. And in order to use render, we have to have a rasterized layer. So I'm going to rasterize this so it's no longer editable. We're going to go to Filter and Render, and this time we're going to go to Flame. Now, notice it yells at me and says you have to have a path to do that. So in order to do a path, we're going to Control-click this layer. That puts marching ants around it. And then go to your Paths panel. And on your Paths panel over here, there's a little button to create a path. At the bottom, does that right there. Okay. Now I have a path, and I have a rasterized layer, so now I can use my render. render flame. And then you can choose some kind of funky flame. This is candlelight. There's multiple flames that go one direction. Because we have such a complex path, it's totally up to you. That's kind of fun. So I'm going to use this one and say OK. And give it time, and it should put my flames in there, so that's exciting. All right, now I got my flames. I'm going to click off of this so the path doesn't show. And then click here and turn this one on. So now I've got my flamey name. That's fun, right? Okay, and then finally, just to go over the fact that you can do that with normal path, go ahead and create a new layer. I'm just going to call this flame path. And then take your pen tool. Make sure your pen tool is set to draw a path, not a shape. And then just draw a path. If you want to use a bunch of little lines, that's fine. Or if you can remember how to curve it, you know, I'm going to come up here and just kind of curve it around my head like this. Then just press escape. All right, so I've got a path. Now I'm on the flame path layer because I have to have a layer. Filter, render, flame. And then you can choose what you want this path to look like. So you could do it like the other one. You know, if I hit OK here, I'm going to get kind of those same flames there.
The following students
and then I can take my move tool and move it. It's like too close to my head or whatever. Totally up to you. You could do multiple paths. So if you want to do another one, just take your pen tool and go somewhere else. Make you another path. Escape. And then filter, render, and flame. And you can choose something else. Like the one flame along the line just kind of does that.
Austin Hank.
So you can kind of do that. Any of those is fine.
Jordan Kent.
There we go.
Mr. Taylor.
And that is pretty much it. It's
McCullough,
kind of a crazy, weird little drawing. If those paths are still there, just click off of them. And there you go. Oh, wait. I didn't click off my path before here. Notice I accidentally added some of this down here, too. So be sure to disable that previous path. Here, I'll undo. So there we go. There's that one. See, I had both of those paths selected. I'm going to click off and redraw this path here. There we go, and then escape. So yeah, if you got two paths selected, it's going to put it on both. There we go. And yeah, that one's just not as cool. But there we go. All right, so this is your filter fun activity, and I look forward to seeing what you come up to.
Hi, teacher. How are you today?